everybody, my name is Erin and welcome to today's video. Last week, we wandered around the magic that is the Mote Laboratory and Research Aquarium, where we looked at toadfish, awed at regular fish, oohed at jellies, and took a closer look at some of the exhibits and educational opportunities that really set Mote apart. Yet, as I gazed into the eyes of one fish boy after another, my mind couldn't help but wander back to that ancient question. All these signs, the exhibits, the volunteers who stand by the tanks and answer questions, this thing, how much of this is actually contributing to effective environmental education? And at what point does the emotional, psychological, and physical cost of keeping these animals outweigh any of the good? Now, I want to start by saying that the goal of this video is not to explicitly say that touch pools are inherently good or evil, nor am I saying that aquariums themselves are inherently good or evil. The point of this video is to simply have a discussion, which is really what I hope to achieve with this entire channel, is to just get people thinking about environmental issues and how we can make environmental education better. And if you walk away from this video thinking that touch pools are the best way to do that, then you know what, man, that is your prerogative. That's totally your opinion. But I am here to present the facts, present the stories, and most importantly, present some ideas that I've had that could prove to be some better alternatives to touch pools and other exhibits out there when it comes to getting people excited about and invested in protecting wildlife. And now that I've made my peace, I'm gonna start getting spicy with this video. In beginning to dissect this argument, I want to make sure that I was really understanding both sides, because even though my initial reaction isn't necessarily in support of aquariums, I think there is still some value to be had, and that the enjoyment that aquariums often spark in people is something worth exploring. So I did some research. And girl, let me just say, get your cups ready, because I have some tea to spill. I'm going to start with the general purpose of aquariums because this is really where the heart of the argument lies. Ask any person what the main purpose of aquariums is, and they'll probably tell you either education or profit. Now, is either answer wrong? I mean, not to me. If aquariums brought in no money, then they wouldn't be around. At the end of the day, everyone's trying to make an extra buck, and aquariums are no different. I mean, the two gift shops and diners strategically placed next to the lab exhibit kind of speak for themselves. But is it just about the profit? Honestly, I don't think it is. Marine life is something that gets everyone at least a little excited, and to learn about these creatures and their challenges is an incredibly important part to environmental education, especially now more than ever. But here's the thing about education. It's become one of those words that people just kind of throw around to make something seem better than it really is. Why do we take fish from the ocean and put them in tanks? Education. Why are giraffes and monkeys separated from their families and locked up in zoos? Education. Why did this guy get punched in the face? Education. I mean, anyone can say that they're about education, but that doesn't mean that anyone is actually getting educated. I think about all the classes I took in high school for the purpose of education and how little that stuff actually stuck with me. I mean, yeah, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but what am I supposed to do with that now that I'm in adult high school? Tell me. And that is what aquariums feel like to me. Sure, Mote has all of these really cool visuals sitting next to their fish tanks, but how many people actually stop and read these things? I mean, really stop and read them. I'm a wildlife conservation student, and even I walk past a sign if it has too many paragraphs on it. And listen, I get it. Most of the people going to aquariums are either too busy making sure Joseph doesn't take a starfish from the touch tank during the school field trip, or juggling too many crying children to want to stop and read a 5-paragraph essay. I get that. But the bottom line is that just putting some visuals on a wall or installing this thing is not an effective way to spread awareness about important environmental issues. And I think it's this lack of innovation when it comes to education, real, meaningful education, that makes aquariums and similar facilities just kind of outdated. Now, I know what you're thinking. Not all education efforts are just through big signs and volunteers who awkwardly lean against the wall hoping to talk to you about fish. Some experiences are interactive, like the touch pool. The touch pool. Well, get your cups, ladies, because the water is boiling. Let me tell you about touch pools. First of all, literally every aquarium and its mother seems to have one. I mean, I'm like low-key certain that it's a requirement you have to have if you want to be considered a real aquarium. It also seems like all these aquariums consider their touch pools to be the same thing, a hub of education. And there's that word again, education. But how much education is really happening when a bunch of people are just sticking their dirty hands in the water to touch an animal that probably doesn't want to be touched? Well, here's what some of my research found. A lot of articles kind of state what I just said. The touch pools are chaotic, loud, and that the constant stress of being touched by strangers leads to the premature deaths of a lot of animals. In fact, one article I was reading even said that a stingray that had been introduced to a touch pool at SeaQuest was filled with so much anxiety it was found dead a month later, with children still poking at its decomposing body.
Not only is like the stingray in decomposing state and the kids are still touching it, so that also put the kids' health at risk too.
So you actually saw children's hands on this dead stingray?
Yeah.
Nasty, am I right? And not even looking at it from the animal's perspective for a minute, but from the perspective of the aquarium itself. These pools are not easy to run. Every animal has a certain temperature the water needs to be at, a certain pH requirement, a certain level of light they need in order to survive. I'm sure that the amount of effort it takes to maintain these pools is very high, and if even a single thing goes wrong, every creature in the pool could wind up dead. One former employee at SeaQuest said that an octopus was boiled alive because the temperature of one of the pools rose too quickly. And you can find stories all over the internet about stingrays dying due to problems with water levels, oxygen malfunction, and human-related injury. And again, I'm not trying to generalize every touch pool in every aquarium by SeaQuest standards. My point is really that touch pools are simply hard to maintain. And if they can go wrong so easily for one facility, there's no doubt they can easily go wrong for another as well. Now the thing is, even with all the ethical issues a lot of these touch pools bring up, maybe there is still some greater benefit that comes out of keeping them. And now I know that's probably a pretty twisted way to put it, but think about it. That's how a lot of people justify these things, that the level of education these pools inspire beats any kind of mental or physical toll they may be having on the animals. So I did some research, and I found a study that was conducted in 2016 to see how much value people got out of going to a touch pool by taking a survey before the experience and then taking one after. And here's what the study found. Apparently, there is some benefit guests get from the experience. Results found that having a hands-on interaction increased how knowledgeable individuals felt about aquatic wildlife and the likelihood that they would take action to protect wildlife in the future. However, going to a touch pool didn't do anything to increase how much guests value aquatic species, nor did it do anything to increase how strongly guests felt about the importance of conserving aquatic species. So in summary, going to a touch pool can increase knowledge, but not enough to foster a positive attitude towards wildlife in the efforts to protect them. Very, very interesting. Now, the paper does recognize that visiting a touch pool or aquarium does not create an instant change of behavior or attitude towards wildlife. A noticeable change of behavior is a result of the learning that occurred during the visit and the opportunity to synthesize information learned during the following weeks after the visit. However, studies have also found that many of these facilities that allow animal interactions see them as an entertainment-based encounter and not as an educational experience. So, where does all of this leave us? Honestly, I don't know. What I do think, though, is that we need some better alternatives when it comes to getting people to care about the environment, instead of just turning to this and especially this. And I know everyone wants their interactive experience, and oftentimes, you're right, it's the hands-on stuff that people remember the most. But I think what touch pools lack when it comes to that interactive experience is the storytelling part of it. I don't think you have to touch an animal to have a connection with it or to understand what kind of issues they're faced with today. I think all you really need is a story. And with a bit of creativity, I think there's some different ways that you can achieve that. One idea I had was creating a walkthrough exhibit that mimics the natural habitat of different marine creatures. It could be something that people still touch, that they still interact with, and most importantly, the exhibit could act as a powerful visual that compares the difference between what a healthy and dying marine ecosystem looks like. And it's something people will be a part of, almost as if they're the sea creatures themselves, experiencing all the same sights and sounds that those animals experience in the open ocean. And the best part is that no live animals would have to be physically handled, because a meaningful story was told instead. I mean, look, that was just one idea that popped into my head while I was eating cereal the other day. I'm not saying it's the answer to the entire aquarium debate. I'm just saying that maybe there's some different options out there besides these antiquated exhibits that really don't seem to be doing that much for people or animals. So the next time you're thinking about going to a touch pool, maybe rethink it. Next time you go to an aquarium, question how it could be better. Next time you want to throw that bag in the ocean, realize what you're doing. Question, question, question. That's how I came up with this video, asking questions while pacing my kitchen floor. And it's how we can make the world a better place when we realize a wrong that needs to be righted.